Happy days. Moving on. 7th place. Troubleshooters. Predicted 8th, so they're our first team to beat their predictions. Beat it by 1. We had Fred, Arcane, the BMW, Minty, and Geestricity. In terms of notable stats, Fred pulled away with the 3rd highest base destroy average with 1.83, which is that's mad. That's very impressive. Who wants to talk about troubleshooters?
Do you want to take this one, Popeyes?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I mean, it was kind of like I said in the initial thing there. Like the team's totally capable of beating their prediction. Like Fred and Arcane have obviously played a bunch together over the years. I think BMW has been a C for a long time, a couple times in NZ. I think he's been flying under the radar a little bit, so he's always been a great pick. But yeah, I think these guys, from what I could tell anyway, they somebody in the chat pointed out the grades look a bit weird. I'm not sure what's.
I might have messed those grades up. Those are not the right grades.
Yeah, I noticed a few of them were wrong. Regardless, yeah, I think the main thing for these guys is they just, at least it's from what I could tell, they kind of got their act together pretty quickly. They played a smooth game, and yeah, like they took ones where they could, right? It just seemed to click.
Yeah, and did you have a standout player for this team, Popeyes?
Probably Fred, right? Like he has been, obviously he's won Zeltac, which most of the Cobras haven't done, but he's been he's been, I'd say, more and more of a retired player, so it was a bit of a question. He's come back a few times, and actually big props to him. He's if you guys noticed any of the fresh walls in the arena, that's all Fred. Helped us with some last minute changes, but yeah, it was great to see him get the rust off and perform really well. Yeah.
I'm reading in the chat that apparently the BMW got injured as well towards the end of the comp.
That's true. Yeah, I think that was in that was in an elimination game, so maybe it wouldn't have been their last game, right, if he hadn't come out injured. And assuming that was the case, you could see their rank have climbed even higher, right?
Yeah, right.
And BMW was he was having a very good comp this comp, and it was about halfway through, and I believe it was double elim Ascension's game, and yeah, he his knee went one way and he went the other, so a bit unfortunate, but yeah, look, he was there's a reason he went up a rank as well, because yeah, he was having an absolutely amazing comp. So
yeah, does Trader, have you got any final thoughts on this team before we scoot along?
Props to them. They played really well for, like, at least the level of competition that was at this Invites. They absolutely deserved to, like, improve their ranking. They definitely could have gone higher, I think, if it went for the unfortunate injury for Brad. It just seems like there was a lot of injuries this tournament, actually.
It was pretty early in the game as well, right? Like, it was probably half the game left when he
for
came
sure
out.
Yeah.
Did they lose their elimination game by much, or was it really close?
I can't remember, but yeah, that was literally in that game, right? So
yeah,
that is unfortunate.
I was just going to touch on a few other bits, Brian, if that's okay. Just look, in terms of like standout players on this team, like Fred obviously was doing amazing, but Annie also was having an insane comp as well. Like, just to touch on side events really quickly, I remember seeing one of her doubles games, and she walked out with 71 tags to like 40 something. She was absolutely on fire. So, but yeah, just like this team seemed very well rounded, and every time I saw Annie and the BMW rock up to my base, I was like, wow, okay, cool. Like, we're probably about to get rolled because they just Annie was in quick, was able to either get Brad or herself through and just leave without a trace, sort of thing, and that it was scary. So big
I guess
props.
Annie definitely had a big side events. I see she won triples with Ace and Guinea, got second in doubles with Viduck, and then finished 7th in the solos finals as well. So that was a very, very good innings in the side events for Annie. So I'm sure that all showed when in the team games as well, when she's rocking up at your base. Very nicely done. Do we have any final tidbits for this team, maybe in terms of things they can improve on and stuff in the future? Obviously, this is a pretty mixed team, so I don't envision them playing together. But maybe just in terms of individuals or something.
I mean, the big one that they're going to have is Geestricity is going to be getting better. He's one of Annie's super new players. So, and he's been carrying the scene pretty hard in terms of getting new people to show up. And so, this guy is, if he's still playing AF from now, he's going to be incredible value again.
Yeah. Do we know if Geestricity went up in rank, or is he still sitting at E?
So the general rule is that E's go up to D's. There's always some exceptions for that, but unless there's like some reason why they're not going up, they will go up.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, wicked. Well done to our troubleshooters, beating your predictions by 1 place. I think we'll move on to our 6th place team, if that's all right with everyone. Cool bananas. In 6th place, we had Dysfunctional, predicted 7th, so second of our teams to beat the predictions, beat it by 1. We had Four Eyes, Goofy, Gumby, Lycan, and Sphinx. And as you can see, Four Eyes had a pretty damn good comp, I'm guessing. 3rd highest average score, 2nd highest base destroy average, 3rd highest score ratio, highest tag ratio of the comp with 1.78, which is insane, and finished with the 2nd highest GRC with 2.93. So geez, that's a bloody good effort by Four Eyes, and then also got 2nd in triples. Who wants to talk about Dysfunctional? We'll give Connor a break. He started off with the last.
I'll start off with done. I've been lazy so far. So I think the theme of this team was a few rusty players, and the question will be how much of the rust they can get off. Gumby, for example, I haven't seen the guy in years. Looks like he still remembers how to play. Goofy and Four Eyes, obviously incredibly scary in the arena. Four Eyes, like, this is pretty normal to see him at the top of various solo ladders, right? That's where he is, no matter what event he's playing in. But yeah, like Gumby and Lycan, they still got it. Props to Gumby he was incredibly helpful just with reffing and organizing stuff. Just one of those guys that steps up, not in an official role, but he might as well have been. And then Sphinx, one of those super late E players, right? So in the same boat as Big Boss Dog, got like two nights of training or something, and then straight into it. So it was good to have him there as well. I think overall, like, probably these guys could have been even higher if the comp was a little longer. Like, they probably just needed to find their feet a little more. And it's always like the weekend comps, they're quite short and sharp, right? So you don't have too long to work on your gaps. But yeah, they did pretty well for very little training overall.
Did you have a standout player, Popeyes, outside of the obvious Four Eyes pick?
Probably Goofy as well. Given the fact that he hasn't played much, especially in triples. I remember, like, we started on top of those guys, and we thought it would be quite an easy opening, but it was not.
It was not.
Yeah. I'm not too sure. Probably Goofy as well. I'd say like he's such a hassle. Like he just dominates wherever he is. Sort of can deny whatever area he's in.
Yeah. Is some form of Dysfunctional going to be at Hobart Nats?
Yeah, so the team will be called Dysfunctional, and it will have Lycan and Four Eyes. So that's sort of Lycan's team, Dysfunctional, right? And I think Four Eyes has played for it every other time at least.
Yeah.
And then the rest of that team is the new blood from Auckland. So Rogue,
Okay, cool.
Chiro, and what's Cody's alias? Whatever
Guerrero.
Cody's alias is.
They're sick. Do you have any bits of advice? Obviously it's hard because the team's not going to be sticking together. But have you got anything you can get out there?
Training, I think.
Training. That helps, huh?
Yeah, and hopefully we see more of Sphinx as well. It was good to have him there.
Yeah, sick. Trader and Sega, did you have any things you'd like to talk about with this team?
Yeah, look, so I got to spend a little bit of time outside of the arena with Four Eyes and Lycan and Goofy, and honestly, I reckon half the reason a team like this does so well is because they get on outside of the arena so well. And just talking to Four Eyes in particular, and he basically said that when he comes to something like this, he just wants to have fun and play with people who he wants to play with. So being good mates with like Goofy and Gumby and Lycan really helped him out. So and I think that really shone through, especially in their play styles. I'd rock up to their base on attack, and I would end up leaving in absolute hysterics because Lycan was just talking like hilarious crap to me the whole way through, like, and on top of me not being able to keep a straight face, she was just absolutely railing me in terms of timing and just between Four Eyes, Goofy and herself, just putting me in the worst positions to either have to fight to and crack the base or just get sniped from basically across the arena from Four Eyes. It was just, they knew how to play together and how to play well together, I think is the other point.
Yeah, it's definitely and a whole topic of discussion is like, what are the best ways to form a team? You could pick the 5 best players, regardless of like, what they're like outside and like whether they're going to get along or not, whether their playstyles clash or anything. And that team will probably do like pretty good. But I don't think they'll ever do as well as a team that actually just like really wants to play with each other, even if like the average skill level isn't as high. If all of the people on that team really enjoy each other's presence, they like spending time as a team like outside of games and stuff, I think it goes a really long way, especially when it comes to the times like the hardships, right? Like when you're at a Nats, I feel like most teams at a Nats have like a bad day, if not multiple, right? And the team, you've got Team A, which is all the 5 best players, but they don't really have that same kind of cohesion and just like vibe with each other. Those conversations they have during those games and after those games can be pretty heated and can become like a pretty vicious downward spiral. But if you've got a team of people that actually want to be there with those players and really enjoy just got good relationships outside, that's how you can really deal with those hardships properly, and then actually grow and develop from them. So definitely something to be said about that. But we're here to talk about Hobart teams, not about some philosophical stuff. Trader, have you got any last little tidbits for Dysfunctional before we move on?
I'll try and keep it short, just to keep the thing flowing at least. You can see the rust shaking off like as they were playing. It was really crazy to see like just how they climbed, because at the start of the competition they weren't doing that well, and then coming in 9th on that round robin, being able to climb all the way up to 6th was really impressive to see. So props to these guys. Sphinx is a real champion. I'm pretty sure he's only ever touched a pack like once before this competition. So just
Cool.
for him to actually get out and play on such short notice as well was really awesome to see.
Yeah, good on you, Sphinx. Well, does anyone have any last tidbits before we move on? Fantastic.
All good here.
Well done, Dysfunctional. Looking forward to seeing. You said Four Rise and Lycan are going to be with some Dunedin players for nationals.
Auckland players.
Oh, with Auckland players, was it? Well, yeah, very much looking forward to seeing those guys. It's always a pleasure. Just even if you're not hanging out with them, even if you're just like near where they're hanging out, you can just see how much of a good time people like Four Eyes and Lycan are having in it. And it rubs off. So, alrighty, we'll move on to our 5th place team. We have Legalise Sneak Takes. Predicted 4th, finished 5th. We have VDark, Popeyes, Zeta, Feel, and TJ. Popeyes. Do you wanna take that one away?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so for us, I think we were all pretty happy with how we went. By the end of the comp, we sort of had pretty nailed down how we wanted to play. We're in those golden games, so kind of where we wanted to be. Obviously we bombed out of the last golden game, but I think everyone on the team came away with a good vibe. Like by the end of it, everyone kind of had a role. We had Zeta, he was being a beast, pack points the whole comp. Me and Phil were sort of the push base stealers, and by the end of the comp, we were stealing. We'd always get a base each off defense, and TJ was playing her role, like completely fine. She was generally working with Aaron in the center. But yeah, like I felt like it was a really well-oiled machine, to be honest. Any other year, top 3 team for sure. Yeah, like for us, the number 1 that could have gone better was our last game goes a little better. Would have been nice, but yeah, no complaints from me. Standouts were probably the Dunedin guys, Zeta and Phil.
Yep. And what points of improvement do you have? I'm sure you've already had the discussions with them, but maybe points of improvement for yourself, for the team as a whole, and for these newer players.
Yeah, so probably me and Aaron needed to make ourselves a little bit more valuable. It's like I normally play in a single A team, so there's lots to do. But with 2 A's, you need to do a lot to make up your A grade.
Yeah.
And it was hard, or at least we were finding it hard to get quite enough value out of the 2 of us. So probably what I'd improve is just be maybe even more YOLO.
Right.
A bit, just a bit more aggressive, etc.
Really show them why you're an A rank player.
Yeah, like you have to, right? Like I like to say that to make up the A, to be an A, you need to captain your team and get both your bases off defense and top pack score in the game, right? Like you kind of need to do all 3, right?
Yeah.
Whereas we were kind of getting 1 base off defense, and
Right.
yeah. So probably just like dial it up a little bit more, be a little bit more risky. Yeah, I mean it's impossible to say really. Like the way we're running the games, I felt definitely could have put us in finals anyway. So it was it was about par anyway. Like nothing too disappointing from our point of view.
Cool. Sega or Trader, did you have any bits you'd like to talk about with this team?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I think VDark or Aaron, and Popeyes and Zeta, like you 3 were just insane. I feel actually was doing quite well, and I just think that you guys really did have a well-rounded team. VDark was just insane on panels, and since I came back to Hobart, I've been talking to Carter and Ricky and Brendan, and just saying, hey, I was losing this fight against Aaron. What can I do to be better in that scenario? And Popeyes, your maze knowledge and just punishing, like lost players in terms of, they think that they should be standing here, but I'm actually going to be standing right here and just sniping the hell out of you. And I just came up against both you and Aaron, and if I wasn't using a panel correctly, or if I was slightly in the wrong area or something along those lines, you guys would 100% capitalize on that. And yeah, I think both of you played insanely well.
Sega's too nice, isn't he, Popeyes?
Yeah.
Popeyes
I
wants you to
didn't
talk
notice
shit,
any of
mate. Wants
this.
you to say something bad on him. Go on.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Sega. Trader, did you have anything you'd like to add for Legalise sneak takes?
Probably just piggybacking off both players and what they were saying. Yeah, like at least from my point of view, you guys are a team that punished other players' mistakes a lot. Like you guys knew what to do, like to maximize how you would win the game when another team was sort of flailing about in some regard. And at least the point with you and VDuck not, I guess, having as much value as A players, I think is a bit of a moot point, because there is two of you on the team, so you're kind of like, I guess, spreading your value out amongst the two of you. Whereas if you had the solo, if you had the solo A player like we had with Jono on our team, just running rampant, then he's obviously going to have much a higher, I didn't
much
more of an impact that's
like we needed the
visibly felt.
stats that the other A players have. Like that's not that important.
But
it's just like
you could feel his impact more so, like as the individual player compared to both of you, though, is what I'm trying to say. Even though like you probably had more of an impact together combined, his individual impact was probably more felt throughout the arena.
Very astute observation. Yeah, no, I feel like I haven't played against Popeyes and VDuck in a long time, so I'm very much looking forward to battling against you guys at Nationals. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. And I think also like when you guys had been at Nats, I've been on teams where like I didn't come across you very often, so I'm very much looking forward to the opportunity to get the Sega experience and get schooled on panels by VDuck and get outpositioned by yourself, Popeyes. Anyway,
yeah, I mean it's gonna be huge. We're all looking forward to coming to Hobart for sure.
Big Nats, gonna be difficult Nats. Any last bits before we move on from Legalise sneak takes? Awesome. All right, moving on to fourth place, Hobart Devils. Predicted second, so you were down 2 points from my predictions. We had Mantis, Twinkles, Sega, Easy Points, and Nelly. Of note, Mantis was the least denied player of the tournament, which normally I wouldn't really put much emphasis on that, because usually that just means, that's just the player that's not getting very many bases. But she also had the highest base average of the team, and 1.46 is like a very respectable base average. So Sega, you'll have to enlighten us about that. But what can you tell us about your team, mate?
Look, we'll address the Mantis denied destroyed thing straight up, because so she was only denied once the entire comp, and I was talking to her about it earlier on today, and she's kicking herself because it was one of those things that it was just the teammate she was on attack with just didn't calm the door correctly, and look, she would have been
someone else's fault, isn't it?
Oh no, but like she would have it would have been really cool to see absolute 0 denied and 1.46 or probably 1.5 in this case
Yeah, something like
destroys.
that.
But look, I think straight off the bat, the Anon and I can't say it. We came into the comp as an anonymous team, and I think a lot of New Zealand players probably didn't know us. I mean, at least 4 of us, at least like first or second year Nats players, and yeah, I think day one for us, we were able to get a lot of cheeky wins where we probably shouldn't have, and at the end of day one, the records were actually sitting on a big screen, basically as you entered the arena. So I think a lot of people were kind of looking at that and going, "Oh, you know, Devils are 1 or 2 wins away from basically going straight through to finals," and we really paid for that in our last 3 games on day 2. So,
yeah, and what can you talk about in terms of, because you guys, were you in 1 golden game or were you in multiple golden games?
we had 2 golden games in the end, and I think our one A player, Twinkles, I think the team sort of relied too heavily on his experience in game, and I think that might have pushed him a bit too hard. And I think he sort of cracked towards the end of it, and it was kind of, he was trying to do too much of everything and really spread him thin, I think.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Good movie. Everyone should watch that movie. Anyway, who was your stand-up player for the team, Sega?
Look, I'm probably a little bit biased, but I definitely have to say Mantis. Like, you'd say to her, Jacinta, I need you to go out on attack with George, and all of a sudden, you know, you're looking 30, 45 seconds later and she's back and she's like, I've got both. And I'm like, oh, what do I do now, sort of thing, because you just weren't expecting such a quick turnover.
You didn't give me enough time to think.
Exactly. So, and yeah, it was, so her and George's attack was just lightning fast. And yeah, honestly, probably team MVP, I think.
Yeah. And obviously, so Easy Points, yourself and Mantis are on Archangels together.
Yes.
What
Yep.
can you guys draw from this tournament that you think will help your team's game, like at nationals, like for Archangels?
We actually brought this up in training on Thursday night, actually, and Jared, or Easy Points, he was able to sit back in the passenger's seat for this comp while Twinkles and I sort of captained, and he was able to sort of like take a step back and probably use this comp as a learning experience. So so we've come out of this training on Thursday, and he's basically said, look, this comp has helped us so much with positioning and timing and just playing that slightly and actually
fine.
excellent, and yeah, just playing faster, because obviously you're on world settings for this comp, and you know you've got stuns and you've got to be a little bit speedier to either break your stun or just get it out of the way in time. And in this scenario, Jared was just saying, yeah, we've really used that in our advantage, or to our advantage, I guess.
Yeah. Happy days. Well, I'm glad you guys were able to draw something out of this that you can now apply to your own team. You get to see the results of that at Pre-Nats 3 in like less than 3 weeks' time, I guess, huh?
Yes, yeah, counting it down.
Exciting. Cool. Popeyes or Trader, have you got anything you'd like to add for Hobart Devils?
Not particularly as like to how well they did in the tournaments at least, but just speaking on the players themselves, like Twinkles, he brings just a whole new vibe. Like the arena gets electric when he plays, I'm telling you. It's crazy to see. And honestly, Mantis outside of the arena is probably one of the most lovely people I've had the experience to actually talk to. Like, really wholesome person, got the right attitude and the mindset for the game as well, which is really awesome to see in players.
Yeah,
but yeah,
she's a pretty cool lady. Always
but
like
yeah.
one of the first players at a tournament to go up to you when you're unexpectedly just kind of sitting there being ooh woo antisocial, and she comes up to you. She's like, "Hey, I'm Mantis," or Jacinta. Shakes your hand. You know, no, she's lovely. It's definitely really cool to have players like her around. To remember that we are human beings, and social interaction and being nice and stuff is pretty cool. Popeyes, did you have any last bits you wanted to add?
Yeah, for sure. Like for me, well, I mean, first of all, it was awesome having a full Aussie team. Obviously, we had the two, but these guys, as well as Run's team, were some of the few teams that I know they're not actually a full Nats team, but they came over playing, or at least it felt like they were playing like a cohesive unit from day one. So every other team is kind of made up on the spot. Virtually no one trains in Invites teams before Invites. So it was cool to have like a team that just felt like they were on it. You got to remember also, like Hobart went from Nexus to H2, right? So none of them have like H Pro every week. And then also none of them play Worlds every week, right? So coming over to a foreign arena, you don't get that much warm up at Invites, right? It's different system, like different settings, different system. Like it's huge to have them that high. And I think like you know, these guys easily could be in finals, right? Like it's almost like a coin toss once you're in those golden games. Who's going to come away with trophies? So yeah, it was. Oh, and I should shout out Twinkles as well. Gave us some good technical help as well. He knows some stuff too, so it was great to have him there.
Legend. Any last bits to add to Hobart Devils before we move on? Sweet.
Well done, guys. That's
Yeah.
just well done to the rest of the team for just coming along to a mate you're not familiar with, on equipment you're not familiar with, and leaving with fourth place. It's a commendable effort.
Exactly.
Happy days. Well, we look forward to seeing all of these players at our Hobart Nuts.